Hi and welcome to the NetAsk YouTube channel. This video will explain you how to migrate a configuration from version 8 to version 9. The first step consists in installing a virtual machine whose goal is to perform an offline upgrade of the configuration. For that, the needs are a software such as VMware Player and migration tools. The tools are at your disposal from customer and partners areas on our website www.netask.com. Save locally the image of the virtual appliance, the activation kit, and the administration software before continuing. Once you've retrieved all the files, start the virtual machine player, select the NetAsk appliance image, and click on Play Virtual Machine. After a few seconds of loading, select the keyboard language thanks to the associated number and validate. Set and confirm the password of your choice. At last, you have to set the network parameters. Those parameters must be the same as the ones you use on your production appliance. The IP address you set will permit to administrate the firewall. Once you're requested to log in, it means that the virtual machine is ready to work. Step number 2, connect and activate the virtual machine. Before all, be sure that your station is in the same address range than the virtual machine IP address. By default, the first interface of the list is used. If your configuration does not fit with this, modify the parameters of your virtual machine player to switch to a native mode. Install and launch NetAsk Unified Manager software, connect to the IP address you chose during the installation wizard, and set the correct password. In order to activate all the functions of the NetAsk firewall, you must update it thanks to the activation kit. Please open the maintenance menu and click on Update the firmware. Select the file and validate. The firewall has to restart in order to take the activation into account. Your firewall is now ready to perform the migration. Step number 3, backup and import of the V8 configuration. Retrieve a backup of configuration from your production firewall and save it locally. Then, from the maintenance menu, restore the corresponding file. At the end of these steps, the firewall will restart in order to take the modifications into account. When the firewall is back online, we are going to review each configured module so as to validate they are working properly under version 9. 3 users are part of the internal LDAP base. The first one is granted the IPsec VPN right. To migrate pressured keys, you shouldn't store them within this menu. You'd better keep them in the IPsec VPN module itself. The second user has no specific privilege. All of our objects will fully be migrated. The network configuration is composed of a 4-interface bridge. Out and DMZ-A have their own network configuration. The default gateway is an object called gateway. The automated sending of mails is configured. The server is a host called server SMTP on SMTP port. The filtering policy is composed of 10 policies, but be aware that only the active policy will be migrated. In our example, it is policy number 5, named Production. This one contains 12 rules sorted thanks to 4 separators. You will have to be very careful about rules number 3, 4, and 5 because they use private IP addresses to allow incoming traffics. Please note that incoming interfaces are set and rules number 10, 11, and 12 undergo a quality of service policy. As well as filtering, only the active NAT policy will be migrated. This one is composed of 5 rules using nomap, redirect, split, and map operations. Filter and NAT policies are now associated in version 9. This is a very important warning. If you have configured any redirect rule on port HTTPS, then you should disable or remove that rule. Otherwise, after the migration, you won't be able to administrate the firewall anymore because it uses HTTPS port to do so. The captive portal can be reached on both internal and external interfaces. The authentication methods are LDAP and Spinego for internal interfaces, only LDAP for external ones. As we've already mentioned before, you can migrate pressured keys if and only if they are stored in the IPsec VPN menu. Be sure to create them here. We can see the key related to our first user who's granted IPsec VPN right. Only the active VPN policy will be retained. In this case, it's composed of a gateway-to-gateway and nomad configurations. The HTTP proxy is enabled on Enterprise B interface. The associated URL filtering policy, named Protection, will not be migrated because the way it is applied is totally different in version 9. The DHCP server is enabled and delivers IP addresses that are part of the range called Pool IP. The server also provides clients with the IP addresses of 2 DNS servers. The firewall uses 2 servers for its own DNS resolutions. They are Google DNS servers 1 and 2. As an end, 2 NTP servers are configured and enable the firewall to remain up to date. Let's make a short sum up of all the things we've done from now. We've already installed and activated virtual machine, imported and checked our configuration, deleted possible redirect rules using HTTPS port. We are now ready to perform upgrade to version 9. Step number 5. Update to the latest version 9.0. When we have recorded this video, the version 9.0.9 was not yet available. Be sure to choose version 9.0.9 for your future migrations because it includes a lot of fixes and enhancements. From the maintenance menu, click on Update Firmware and select the update file you've previously downloaded from your private area. Finish the wizard and the firewall will restart. A part of the configuration will automatically be migrated in version 9.0.9. This process can take some time. Step number 6. Connect to the firewall and check the migrated policies. In version 9, you have to administrate the firewalls with a web browser. Launch your favorite browser and perform an HTTPS connection with destination the firewall IP address. The /admin keyword at the end of the URL gives access to the administration page. First, we notice that the NTP policy is retained and the 2 servers configured in version 8 are still there. So as to ease the access to the administration pages, the value any enables any host to get access to them. It is highly recommended to restrict this access thereafter. Before the migration, we had disabled redirect NAT rule that were using the HTTPS port. From this menu, you're free to modify the firewall administration port in order to activate the disabled NAT rule. In the last tab, at the bottom of the page, you can find the list of servers used by the firewall for its own DNS resolutions. The 2 servers configured in version 8 are still there. The network configuration, fully migrated, still shows a bridge composed of 4 interfaces, and 2 interfaces with their own network configuration. The default gateway is retained, so is the object name. The DHCP server remains enabled after the migration. Every single information it provides have not been modified by the migration process. The 3 users which used to be part of the version 8 LDAP base have been retained. The privileges they were granted are not applied the same way in version 9, so they have not been migrated. the administration rights on the firewall must be set through the menu System Administrators. VPN and authentication rights have to be configured within the menu Users Access Privileges, then in the Access Policy tab. In our example, one of our users is granted authentication with Spinego method and IPsec VPN right. The access to the authentication portal, as well as in version 8, is authorized from internal and external interfaces. The available methods remain the same ones. The way they are displayed is just a little bit different. LDAP can be used on any type of interfaces, whereas Spinego can only be used on internal interfaces. From version 9 onwards, NetAsk IPS engine is responsible of applying both filtering and NAT operations. Consequently, an active policy is composed of filtering and NAT rules. There's a unique way to apply each module. This is not related to the connection direction anymore. Filtering operations are always applied before NAT ones. It is mostly because of this major change that the migration cannot be fully transparent. Rules number 1, 2, and 4 are added by the migration script. They enable any host to reach every interfaces of the firewall on ports firewall SRV and HTTPS. Ping is also allowed on every interfaces. Rule number 4 will block any other traffic. It is a way to force the validation of the rules after the migration and avoid misacting a version 8 rule. Rule number 3 enables the HTTP proxy, which was enabled in version 8. As you can see, the URL filtering policy is now performed inside the filtering grid. It's one of the reasons why the URL filtering is not migrated at all. The first separator indicates that the following rules are stemming from the migration. You must be very careful about those rules. In our example, 3 rules will be very important. Indeed, rules number 7, 8, and 9 provide access to internal resources. In version 8, the destination IP address used to be a private one because the NAT module was applied before filtering. In version 9, since filtering is applied before NAT, you have to specify the related public IP address the client contacts instead. In our example, we're using firewall out object since the NAT rules are redirect operations. Generally, each rule that provides access to internal resources must be read and modified very closely. Once the reading is done, remember to disable the block all rule, be sure that no warning message remains, save and apply the new policy. NAT policy. The NAT policy does not have any migration issue. The ARP publication inside rules number 2, 3, and 4 used to be done implicitly in version 8. For security reasons, this publication will be enabled on every NAT rule dealing with each incoming traffic. Please note that bidirectional map rules will now be splitted in 2 rules, one for the outgoing traffic and another one for incoming ones. As we've already mentioned before, the URL filtering policy cannot be migrated because the way it works is far different in both versions. From version 9 onwards, 10 policies can be edited and enabled at once. In our example, the URL filtering policy is default 00. You can notice that the policy now authorizes access to any websites, so it has to be configured from scratch. Please note that many facilities and enhancements have been implemented in version 9.1 for configuring URL filtering. As an end, the IPsec VPN policy is still composed of gateway-to-gateway and nomad policies. The second tab displays the peers, the equivalent of tunnel endpoints in version 8. The Identification tab lists the pressured keys that nomad users can use. The pressured key of our first user is well listed here. The major advantage of the version 9 is the way some common parts of the configuration can now be factorized. For instance, encryption profiles for the phases 1 and 2. This is the reason why encryption profiles have been renamed after the migration. Profiles that stem from the version 8 have a V8 suffix. The main goal of this migration is to get an optimal configuration in version 9, so as to easily migrate to version 9.1. Furthermore, this migration is transparent. Consequently, we do advise you to migrate to version 9.1 in order to benefit from the new functions and fixes our R&D department releases. This concludes the version 8 to version 9 migration video. For any question, feel free to send us an email to youtube@netask.com. Stay tuned on Netask YouTube channel.